Women over 50, if you've been applying castor oil night after night, waiting for your wrinkles to soften or your firmness to return, yet nothing truly changes. The problem isn't your skin, it's the missing activator your collagen has been silently waiting for. After menopause, your skin doesn't lose its ability to renew. It simply stops receiving the signals it needs. And the oil that reawakens those signals is one most women completely overlook. My name is Dr. Eliza Hart, a board-certified obstetrician and gynecologist with over 15 years of experience in women's health and hormonal skincare. And today's topic is something many senior women have quietly wondered about. Why does castor oil feel soothing, yet fail to reduce wrinkles or improve firmness on its own? The answer is simpler than most imagine. Castor oil was never designed to rebuild collagen without the right partner oil to activate what lies beneath the surface. After menopause, circulation slows, hormonal signals weaken, and the fibroblast cells responsible for collagen become silent. That is why castor oil alone brings softness, but not transformation. It needs a very specific oil to awaken collagen activity, restore warmth, and help mature skin rebuild its structure naturally. Before we continue, please subscribe, comment your country so I can see how far this message is reaching and help me reach my first 50,000 subscribers. Watch until the end, I have a small surprise for you. Now let's begin with why castor oil alone can't rebuild collagen after 50. 1. Why castor oil alone doesn't rebuild collagen after 50. Many women notice something subtle yet unmistakable as they age. Products that once seemed effective gradually lose their impact, and even the richest oils begin to feel as if they settle only on the surface, without awakening the deeper strength the skin used to have. This observation is not imagined, nor is it a reflection of poor skincare habits. It is a sign of how profoundly the biology of mature skin changes after menopause. And to understand why castor oil alone cannot rebuild collagen, we must first understand what the skin is no longer doing on its own. Castor oil has long been appreciated for its dense texture and comforting feel, and for women over 50, it often becomes a staple because it provides immediate softness. Its molecular structure allows it to draw moisture toward the surface while forming a protective barrier that keeps water from evaporating too quickly. This creates a sensation of nourishment that can feel reassuring, especially when the skin has grown thin, dry, or fragile with age. Yet the effect remains largely superficial because castor oil works primarily within the upper layers of the epidermis, far above the cells responsible for collagen production. Fibroblasts, the cells that build and repair collagen, live deeper in the dermis, and they require more than moisture to function. They depend on oxygen, warmth, microcirculation, and hormonal signaling to remain active. After menopause, two critical changes occur. Blood vessels in the skin narrow, reducing oxygen delivery, and estrogen-driven communication weakens, leaving fibroblasts less responsive. As a result, even if the skin receives ample hydration, the deeper layers remain metabolically quiet. Collagen is not destroyed, it simply stops being rebuilt. This explains why so many women describe their skin as feeling soft yet unchanged, warm to the touch immediately after application, but cool again by morning, or moisturized but not truly firmer. Castor oil is doing its job, but its job is limited to comfort, not activation. The skin requires a biological signal to shift from passive maintenance into active renewal, and castor oil cannot provide that signal on its own. Understanding this distinction is empowering because it means the issue is not ineffective skincare, it is incomplete skincare. And once you see the role castor oil plays as a foundational base rather than a collagen stimulator, the next question becomes clear: what kind of oil can reach where castor oil cannot and deliver the activation mature skin truly needs? 2. Why collagen declines after menopause, microcirculation, and hormone loss. For many women, the shift that happens after menopause feels gradual on the surface, yet profound beneath it, as if the skin slowly loses the quiet vitality it once maintained without effort. This change often appears in ways that seem unrelated at first: a cooler sensation along the cheeks, slower healing after minor irritation, or a new tendency for fine lines to remain visible no matter how much moisture is applied. These subtle differences are not random signs of aging. They reflect a deeper biological slowdown driven primarily by changes in microcirculation and hormonal signaling. And without understanding these two forces, it becomes nearly impossible to understand why castor oil alone cannot revive collagen. The decline in estrogen is the first and most influential factor. Estrogen plays a central role in maintaining the skin's internal rhythm, guiding blood flow, stimulating fibroblast behavior, and supporting the structural proteins that give the face its natural firmness. When estrogen levels fall, blood vessels within the skin become less responsive. They constrict more easily, deliver less oxygen, and provide fewer nutrients to the fibroblast cells waiting below. The skin may still look intact on the surface, but internally the environment becomes quieter, slower, and less capable of rebuilding its collagen network. Microcirculation, the movement of blood through the tiniest vessels in the skin, is equally essential. Oxygen is the fuel fibroblasts rely on to create new collagen fibers, and without consistent oxygen delivery, these cells drift into a state of low activity. Moisturizers, creams, and oils may still offer comfort, but they cannot compensate for the reduced flow of oxygen and nutrients that mature skin depends on. This is why many women describe their skin as cooler, flatter, or less responsive. After menopause, the internal engine that once kept collagen production active is no longer working at full capacity. Together, microcirculation decline and hormonal loss create a situation where topical hydration alone cannot achieve meaningful change. The skin is not incapable of renewal. It is simply working without the internal support that once made renewal effortless. And when this internal support weakens, the right external stimulus becomes essential, something capable of encouraging warmth, restoring subtle vascular activity, and reawakening the cellular dialogue that collagen depends on. In many ways, this shift marks a turning point in mature skincare because it reveals precisely why some oils fail while others succeed under the same conditions. With this foundation in mind, the next question becomes which type of oil can offer that external activation and reach the places castor oil cannot. 3. Rose Geranium Oil, the hormone-balancing circulation booster. As women move through their 50s and beyond, many notice that their skin begins to respond best not to heavier products, but to those capable of restoring the subtle signals the skin no longer generates on its own. This is where rose geranium oil becomes profoundly relevant. It does not rely on force intensity or overwhelming stimulation. Instead, it works by gently awakening the pathways the skin has gradually quieted after menopause, allowing collagen-producing cells to regain some of the responsiveness they once possessed naturally. Rose geranium is rich in compounds such as geraniol citronellol and linalool, each contributing to its unique ability to encourage microcirculation in mature skin. Unlike castor oil, which focuses on moisture retention, rose geranium influences the behavior of tiny blood vessels just beneath the surface. These vessels often grow sluggish with age, limiting the oxygen flow that fibroblasts depend on. When rose geranium is applied consistently, many women report a renewed sense of warmth along the cheeks and jawline, a sign that blood flow is returning to areas that have grown quietly inactive with time. Beyond circulation, rose geranium supports something even more crucial: the hormone-skin connection. After menopause, the skin loses a significant amount of estrogen-mediated signaling, which once helped regulate elasticity tone and collagen remodeling. While rose geranium does not replace hormones, it appears to assist the skin in regaining some of the balance it loses, helping reduce the dryness, dullness, and uneven texture that many women find especially frustrating. This balancing effect allows the skin to behave more predictably, making it more receptive to moisturizing oils and more capable of maintaining long-term structural health. Many women tell me that rose geranium feels different from other oils they have tried. It does not simply sit on the surface, nor does it create the fleeting plumpness that fades by morning. Instead, it creates the quiet conditions necessary for deeper repair, which is why so many women describe the early improvements as a soft return of vitality rather than an obvious cosmetic change. If you've ever felt that your skin reacts more to internal shifts than to products alone, I invite you to comment one below. If you feel your skin has grown more unpredictable after menopause, comment 0, because you are not alone in that experience. With this groundwork in place, the next step is understanding what truly happens when rose geranium and castor oil meet, and why their combined effect is greater than what either one can achieve on its own. 4. When castor oil meets rose geranium, the biological activation blend. When castor oil and rose geranium oil are used separately, each offers benefits that matter for mature skin, yet neither can fully address the deeper changes that occur after menopause. Castor oil comforts, softens, and protects, while rose geranium encourages warmth, microcirculation, and hormonal balance. But it is only when these two oils come together that a more complete transformation becomes possible, because the skin finally receives both the hydration it needs on the surface and the activation it requires beneath it. The first thing that makes this blend uniquely effective is the way castor oil prepares the outer layers of the skin. Its dense humectant nature draws water toward the epidermis and holds it there, creating an environment where absorption becomes more efficient. Mature skin, which often struggles with dryness and a weakened barrier, responds well to this preparation, as the increased moisture makes the surface more receptive to the biologically active components of rose geranium. Without this base, essential oils tend to evaporate too quickly or sit on areas of the skin that are too dry to receive them deeply. Once the skin is properly hydrated, rose geranium can move into its role more effectively. Its naturally occurring compounds influence the tiny vessels beneath the surface, inviting them to reopen and deliver oxygen to fibroblast cells that have remained understimulated for years. This return of subtle warmth is more than a pleasant sensation. It is the beginning of improved oxygen exchange, which is essential for collagen production. Fibroblasts that were previously in a low-energy state become more responsive when oxygen and nutrients arrive consistently. The synergy becomes especially meaningful when we look at the skin's deeper layers. Collagen is not produced in isolation. It requires alignment between hydration, blood flow, and cellular readiness. Castor oil brings sustained moisture, allowing the dermal layers to remain supple enough for remodeling. Rose geranium initiates activation, encouraging circulation and restoring some of the hormonal balance the skin has lost. Together, they create an environment that supports collagen renewal, not as a forced process, but as a biologically compatible one. Many women describe the early changes as a gentle shift, a slight warmth, a softening of tension, a feeling that the skin is no longer passive, but beginning to participate in its own renewal again. This response is subtle at first, yet deeply significant, because it suggests that the skin is receiving signals it has been missing for years. With this foundation established, timing becomes the next essential element, because even the most effective blend must align with the skin's natural repair cycles to reach its full potential. 5. The golden timing window, when collagen activation truly happens. One of the most overlooked truths in skincare, especially for women over 50, is that the skin does not repair itself evenly throughout the day. It follows a rhythm that has existed since long before any modern routine was created, a biological schedule in which protection dominates the daylight hours, while restoration quietly takes place at night. Understanding this rhythm is essential because the effectiveness of the castor oil and rose geranium blend depends not only on the ingredients themselves, but on when the skin is capable of responding to them. During the day, the skin operates in defense mode. It is occupied with shielding itself from UV rays, temperature shifts, pollution, blood flow fluctuations, and stress hormones. Even high-quality products applied during these hours tend to focus on barrier support rather than deep renewal. This is why daytime moisture often fades quickly and why improvements can feel temporary. The skin is simply not metabolically prepared to rebuild collagen while it is actively trying to protect itself. As evening approaches, the internal chemistry changes. Melatonin begins to rise, blood vessels relax, and the body shifts gradually toward a restorative state. By the time night fully settles, oxygen delivery becomes steadier. Cellular turnover increases, and growth hormone is released in subtle but meaningful pulses. This window, roughly between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., is when fibroblast cells become most receptive to signals that encourage collagen remodeling. Applying the blend 45 to 60 minutes before bed allows the oils to settle into the skin at precisely the right moment. Castor oil maintains hydration long enough to support the deeper layers, while Rose Geranium gently encourages warmth and microcirculation, helping oxygen diffuse more easily into areas that have been relatively inactive for years. Many women describe the sensation not as heat or tingling, but as a quiet awakening, a sense that the skin is preparing to do work it has not done in a long time. What makes timing so important is that collagen production is a cooperative process. The fibroblasts must be active, the tissues must be hydrated, and the microcirculation must be supportive. When these elements align during the nighttime repair window, the blend functions as a biological amplifier rather than a simple moisturizer. And once timing is understood, the next essential question becomes how to mix the oils in the correct ratio so the skin receives support without being overwhelmed, because precision determines whether the blend becomes soothing, activating, or truly transformative. 6. The correct ratio formula and how to use it safely. For mature skin to benefit fully from any topical treatment, precision matters just as much as the ingredients themselves. The castor oil and rose geranium blend is no exception. Many women assume that adding more of an essential oil will amplify results, but mature skin does not respond well to excess. It responds to balance between moisture and activations, between nourishment and stimulation, and between what the skin can accept and what it can safely process. That balance begins with the correct ratio. The ideal foundation for this blend starts with 2 teaspoons of castor oil. This amount provides enough density to lock in moisture while still remaining workable for massage. Castor oil's thickness creates a stable base that slows evaporation and supports absorption, giving the rose geranium room to perform its deeper role. Once the castor oil is measured, 3 to 5 drops of rose geranium should be added. This range allows the bioactive compounds to influence microcirculation and hormonal balance without overwhelming the skin's natural barrier. Before applying, warming the blend between the palms for several seconds helps soften its texture and increases comfort during use. Mature skin tends to benefit from gentle upward motions along the jawline, cheeks, and forehead areas where collagen decline is often most visible. The goal is not aggressive manipulation, but consistent, steady contact that encourages lymphatic flow and prepares the tissue to receive oxygen and nutrients more effectively. A slow, mindful massage lasting 2 to 3 minutes is typically sufficient. Because mature skin is highly individual, the blend should be used 3 to 4 nights per week rather than every night. This approach gives the skin time to adjust while preventing overhydration, which can sometimes disrupt barrier function. Women with reactive or very thin skin should always perform a patch test on a small area before committing to regular use as essential oils. Even gentle ones require respect and moderation. It is equally important to avoid applying the blend to areas experiencing active irritation breakouts or heightened sensitivity. Although rose geranium is known for its balancing qualities, essential oils should not be introduced to compromised tissue until the area has stabilized. Women with underlying medical conditions or those using prescription-strength topical treatments should consider discussing essential oil use with a healthcare professional to ensure compatibility. With the correct formula in place, mature skin finally receives both the foundation and activation it needs, setting the stage for the deeper, more lasting improvements that appear gradually over time. And those gradual shifts become most meaningful when we look at what consistent use can achieve in the long run. 7. The long-term benefits when used consistently. One of the most reassuring aspects of this blend is that its greatest changes do not appear suddenly or dramatically. They unfold slowly, almost quietly, in a way that feels aligned with how mature skin naturally heals. Women who approach the process with patience often find themselves noticing subtle improvements, first shifts that are small enough to miss, but meaningful enough to signal that the deeper layers are beginning to respond again. These early signs are the foundation of everything that follows. During the first couple of weeks, many women report that their skin no longer feels as cool to the touch. This gentle warmth is an indicator that microcirculation is improving, allowing oxygen and nutrients to move more freely through areas that had been underactive for years. As the tissues receive more consistent oxygen delivery, fibroblasts begin transitioning out of the low energy state they often enter after menopause. This shift is not visible yet, but it is biologically significant because collagen production cannot resume without this renewed activity. By the 4th week, the skin frequently begins to show the first outward changes. Fine lines soften areas of tension, relax, and the overall complexion appears slightly more even. These changes are modest, but they represent the early stages of remodeling, the point at which the skin is adjusting to its new rhythm. Women often describe their reflection as looking more rested, as if the skin has regained some of its natural responsiveness, rather than simply appearing hydrated. Between weeks 6 and 8, the improvements generally deepen. The blend's ability to support hydration, circulation, and hormonal balance simultaneously allows the dermal layers to rebuild more efficiently. The skin may appear fuller, less fragile, and more resistant to environmental stress. This phase is where many women feel a renewed sense of confidence, not because their appearance has transformed dramatically, but because their skin behaves in a way that feels stronger and more reliable. What makes these long-term results meaningful is that they are not superficial. They reflect a physiological shift, an internal awakening that aligns moisture, oxygen, and cellular activity in a way mature skin can sustain. And when the skin begins to function with greater stability, the next step is understanding how to support this renewal beyond the nightly routine, which leads naturally into a broader reflection on reclaiming calm confidence and connection with one's skin in the final part of this video. As we reach the end of this journey, I want to leave you with a clear understanding of what truly changes after 50 and why your skin responds so differently than it once did. Collagen does not disappear overnight. It slows down because the signals that once kept it active begin to fade. By pairing castor oil with rose geranium oil, you're not forcing your skin to do something unnatural. You're giving it the environment, warmth, and biochemical cues it has quietly needed for years. This blend works with your biology, not against it, and when used with patience, it helps your skin rebuild strength in a way that feels deeply authentic rather than artificial. My advice is simple: be consistent, stay gentle, and trust the slow improvements. Mature skin thrives not under pressure, but under steady nourishment and respect. And if this video has supported you in any meaningful way, and you'd like to help this channel grow, your donation, no matter how small, truly helps me continue creating science-based guidance for women navigating this stage of life. If you found value here, please like, share, and subscribe so more women can discover information that empowers them. Thank you for spending your time with me today, and thank you for allowing me to be part of your journey toward healthier, renewed skin.